Welcome back. The show's called Brand Equity and I'm Sonali Krishna. Under his leadership, Unilever went on to become the best and most innovative company in its use of media space. Babs Rangaiah joined the FMCG giant 3.5 years ago, and since then there has been no looking back. Samriti Grover caught up with the man himself at AdTech and talked about the challenges that lie ahead, especially in the digital arena and where India figures in the digital scheme of things.
Welcome to Brand Equity, Babs.
Hi.
Keith Weed, last year at Cannes said that Unilever is going to double its budget in the digital space.
Yeah.
How important do you think is the medium currently? And what are the kind of innovations Unilever is looking at to kind of leverage the medium to the fullest?
Yeah, Keith did talk about that. We have significantly increased our spending around the world. But again, I think you have to think about the fact that it's not just in media spending, it's in production of assets and creating content. It's all of that. It's about, different types of skill sets and training. All of that comes together as the things that you need to invest in to really do the right and most innovative work in the digital space.
But where does India figure in this plan?
There's 100 million users in India right now, which probably puts it in the top 5 in terms of number of people in markets around the world. I think it's ready now. It has to be targeted to where those groups are. So it's ready to already incorporate some of that. As far as doing it, with the levels of spending on a mass level that you'll see in other markets, I think you'll see it happening very rapidly here. I don't think you'll ever get to a point in India where you're going to have 70-80% penetration of internet. I think 30-40% of 1 billion, 2 people, whatever, is a huge market. Well, I think one of the examples was the Axe app in India. I think it really it's really smart. So the insight is that 80% of guys use their mobile phone as their alarm clock. So rather than just running ads on a mobile phone on some website at the bottom, we actually created a service called the Axe Wake Up Service, which allows guys to be woken up every day by this beautiful woman. And she calls them and wakes them up on a recorded call. Now in India, that's done on an actual phone call that wakes them up. In Japan, for example, that's done as an app. Because the smartphone penetration is different, and then they can pick and choose exactly the woman they want, what she says, how they get woken up. So, we adjust it for different markets based on the behavior in that market. So, that's an example.
You're called the architect of the Apple deal, and Unilever is going to be the consumer goods presenting advertiser on the iAd. How do you think this will help youth in order to make an impact in the space of digital advertising?
Well, I think mobile is probably the most important area that we need to focus on in the future because, as I mentioned, 25% of the world is online today. The vast majority of the next 75% will get online via mobile, and it will be in the most important growth markets in the emerging world. So I think the deal with Apple becomes critical because, as I mentioned, to some extent, the iPhone was one of the greatest innovations, and it almost invented the smartphones as we see them today in terms of the navigation, the functionality, the look and feel. And partnering with Apple enabled us to work with their creatives, with their technologists, with their designers, the kinds of people that can really help us better understand the mobile space in that world coming from the absolute experts in that area.
Thank you, Babs, so much for being on the show.
It's a pleasure.